אני הייתי בשיעור האחרון שלו, נכון? כן, אני. שהתווכחתי איתך הרבה. אני לא לשאול אותי, יש לי זיכרון, אבל בגלל שזה נכנס לי טוב, אז באתי עוד פעם.
כן.
So I'm sure I haven't been here too.
נכון? קטע.
That's why they say that time flies.
Exactly.
You're all good, everybody.
Everybody, בואי תשבי, בואי.
Today we speak in English, yeah? יש לנו אמריקאים, אז היום באנגלית. Before we even start, I just want to ask, this is probably the last class pertaining to this topic, so there's a little bit of an argument between everybody what they want to do next, so just maybe we'll take a few minutes and figure that out, so we know what to do next time. Some people wanted to start all over.
Okay.
I don't remember fighting, so I must have missed one.
Fighting, it's just
No, I'm saying, like,
What was the next choice?
I was the...
What's the next choice?
some people wanted to do chinuch, we can do shlom bayit. There's many subjects we can do. Some are depending on the level of the crowd. There's many different topics we can cover. Truth is, this subject is the first subject, what we've been doing past more than a year already.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a benefit to go over it, of course, but there's also a benefit to maybe widen your understanding and then coming back to this at a later time and seeing it from a different perspective, later perspective. There's also an advantage to that. So it really depends on what you guys want and what you decide. So want to take a vote, what they want to do, or anybody has an idea for a topic.
I have an idea of a topic, yeah.
Okay.
That it's really close to my heart. And I don't know, because all of us girls and all of us being, I don't know, I'm talking about myself. But maybe it's in general, and I'm over 50, and you know, with menopause and everything, we have something called dikaon. No, seriously,
that
it's
was
very...
this-
it happens before menopause also.
Okay, thank you.
That was this year. That was this year.
זה היה העיר הזה. So last time you were talking about it, and בגלל זה התווכחתי איתך, שאמרת לי, אין no such thing as דיכאון, ואני ניסיתי...
No, I didn't say there's no such thing as דיכאון.
אז אני רוצה להבין עוד פעם...
Deacon is depression.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, sorry, I'm
I was
so
trying to figure out
sorry.
No, I could.
No, but thank you for saying
I was
it
trying
in
to
English
find-
and
trying to
Hebrew.
figure out
sorry,
the-
I'm so
I need
sorry.
to improve
Yes,
my
yes.
vocabulary
So,
too.
but
Thank
anyway, you were trying to say
2000.
depression is only excuse for something else, and
No.
I'm trying to...
It's very hard to in one
Yeah,
shoe
but
to get to the depth.
maybe
of what
not
we are.
today, maybe nobody...
No. We'll
If
go
they're
over
gonna
a few
agree.
points that maybe will make this a little bit clearer.
Okay.
But no, of course, depression.
But also all this pachad, all these anxieties that we,
Right.
you know, and really I want to get rid of medication. So how we do
who
it?
has a good answer?
I'm really being
After
open and
a
really
year.
seriously. It's a topic that pertains to a lot of people.
The depression is coming because you didn't find you.
אמונה מספיק.
No, you are in a position
No,
that you're
emuna
not
is different.
supposed to be, because you always, like, your ego tell you that you need to be right all the time, and you need to. I think you need to like, it's not real. You live in your life of it's false, and the real truth is, and that's why you get to depression, because you always think about yourself, but it's not supposed to
אני
be.
אעזור לך.
תעזור.
Okay. We'll
it's
try to answer this
Yeah,
question.
in a small,
But before we-
because
but
I was
before we
thinking
answer the
about it
question.
all this time.
there
Now,
is-
what did he mean?
We'll summarize this year's class.
Okay.
We'll try to do it today best that we can. It's a very, very deep topic.
Yes, it is very deep topic.
It's a deep psychological topic, and it's very hard to catch in one shoe, which I highly doubt we'll do that. But I'll try to cover up, because it does pertain to the ending of this class.
Okay.
So we'll sum up a little bit. But before we do that, we still didn't. Maybe we want to wait to the end
we
of the
need
show.
to.
Or-
Give us options. Because
Okay,
so first-
Avatikim, the people that are here a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
But what are the choices again?
The choices are to redo the class over again.
Okay.
Yeah,
And the next choice is to either choose a different topic completely or to move on to what would be the next topic.
Which is?
Can you do like, once you understand that, what do you do with that? How do you find how do you deal with the hard situation that
Right. Right.
deal
So
with
this
it?
year covered a lot of that. Whoever was here, whoever remembers good.
No, it's not.
Okay, so one. The next topic would be Emunah and Bitachon, which is
yeah, very, very, yes.
Wish I knew that.
which basically it's not how people think of it in the traditional sense of it. It's understanding it from the perspective of my psyche, how my psyche interprets this, how to understand it in depth. Basically, the transition between moving from a secular world into a religious world, a true religious world, not like a lot of people, they're religious today, but they're not really religious from the perspective of the Torah
Yeah.
in its origin. Like nobody lives like Moshe Rabbeinu lived, like on that level. And everything we learn in Chassidut is tshuva ilah. It's the higher realm. It's understanding the minds of the greats. Basically, we're trying to understand the Torah from the mind of how it was intended, not how it's interpreted today.
You mean by all the rules?
No. It's not misinterpreted in the sense that it's misunderstood because it's so complex. So there's never just one person who could give you the full picture in a flash. It's a lifetime of learning. So Judaism is not a simple subject, and to understand it the way the Torah intended it is not like how we learned in grade school, or how we got from even the parents who were not so learned. Whoever comes from a secular background, the education did not supply you with enough information to understand Judaism in its entirety. Vadai. Even if you were brought up in a religious home, there's still a whole world of information that's missing.
Yes, that's missing.
From the traditional upbringing, especially in our generation. If you were brought up in a Hasidic world, so maybe you got an inkling of understanding, but even that, it depends on which Hasidic sect you came from, and how your parents, how learned they were. Basically, that would be what would cause the greatest understanding of Judaism, at least from the perspective of the greats. So, before we answer the question, maybe towards the end of the class, we'll already decide after the summary, maybe if people want to go over it or they want to start over.
Yeah, Emunah and Bitachon, I think it's
Yeah.
So Emunah and Bitachon, let me just give a little, maybe an introduction so we could maybe understand the topic, what it's about better. The transition between the secular world, or even the transition between what I would call, even if somebody is brought up religiously, and their parents are very religious, the kid not necessarily becomes really religious until he really understands what he's doing. So even if he's brought up in a religious home, there's this, either it happens or it doesn't happen. Sometimes in the time it doesn't happen, but either there's one day when they realize what it actually means and then they start to keep it from themselves instead of being dictated.
Not because they have to,
not because their
that's how they're
parents
brought up.
told them to do.
Yeah.
So that day would be considered a transition of going from a secular world to a non-secular world, even in the child who was brought up in a Jewish home. So the transition is like this. One is brought up as a child. They're brought up and they're really, it's not about being brought up, it's just a natural occurrence, is that I get to know myself by default. I'm very, very invested in the I as a child. So a side effect of this is that I start to inflate my ego on levels way beyond what's recommended. So I center reality around me. As a child, doesn't matter if you're brought up in a religious home or a non-religious home. Basically, everybody has to go through this period of being a child. And a period of being a child means that I can't think beyond my inner reality. I can't see beyond. So when I'm trying to think about other people, they're always in relation to how I would benefit from it. It's very difficult for a child to scope reality, even himself, let alone beyond himself. And that's just a natural occurrence, how Hashem wanted. That the HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates the child evil, essentially. Evil from the perspective of Torah, not evil in the sense that he's a bad kid.
Yeah.
But evil, how is defined by Judaism or by the Torah, means anybody who's self-centered.
So kids are really...
So evil is self-centeredness. It's selfish. That's evil. The bigger my ego is, the greater I'm more evil. So many would never define themselves as being evil, but the Torah defines a person as being evil as long as he's egocentric. And he doesn't have to be a killer or a thief or any of those bad things. He just has to be egocentric. His motives are... גפתה.
לא, ואנוכי, selfish.
אנוכי, כן.
אוהב את עצמו, דואג לעצמו. זה ילדים בדרך כלל הם.
But
מטבע אותם ילדים.
if what we and this is not necessarily Yeladim are by default. As we grow older, we get the understanding of trying to go outside of myself, but we usually fail at it. Rather, we become very smart, and we learn how to trick ourselves to believe that we actually care about other people. So it's not that we get rid of this disease as a child. We masticize it. We grow it into a cancer that spreads out throughout our consciousness to levels that we don't even pay attention to how deep it really goes. How egocentric I became. The outside world might not pay attention because you're willing to help them, and you're willing to give from your time. So these would be simanim that maybe I'm not egocentric. Yet if we dig down deep into our animal soul, if I am giving from my time, there's some self-interest that's motivating me to give from my time. And therefore it's not pure. To reach a level of purity is what Chazal called L'Shem Shamayim. And L'Shem Shamayim is probably the most difficult level to achieve. So it might sound...
It sounds harsh.
Like like a lot of people say, I did only for you. I was pure, and I was nothing. There's none of me is involved here. The Shem Shamayim, especially in the religious world, the word is thrown out loosely.
Okay.
But even the Rambam, that his Hilchot Torah are based off of Tshuvat HaTa'ah, the lower level of Tshuva. Because it's the lower level of tshuva, so he says, if somebody is able to do one time in his lifetime, l'shem shamayim, haya kedai sheba la'olam. If he even was able to do one time in a pure heart, one time in his whole life, it was worth it for him to come down here. That's just to understand how difficult, if I really, really want to be true to myself, how deep self-centeredness goes to the level where even if I would lachkol be'omek adin, to really dig down deep, it's even with my kids and my husband and the people who are closest to me. And to get out of this is a gift. What does it mean it's a gift? It's to rewire my consciousness to understand reality from a total different perspective. If I don't change how I see reality, I'll never be able to get rid of my ego ever. And I can say this with ever. And I can say this with pure confidence that 99.99999% of the world never leave without a huge ego, more at their death than at their birth.
More at their death than at their birth.
Which means
really depressing,
most of reality doesn't make it.
99.99.
Once a person gets older.
And when I say 99.9, I'm machlidat hagoyim.
Oh.
Hashem, one second. Hashem Hashem gave us, Jewish people, the capability of leaving that state of mind. That's exactly what Judaism is. What is Judaism? Here's the Torah. It's the book that will teach you how to leave egocentricity and enter into a world of pure of hearts. You won't be doing anything. To be egocentric is to be stuck in a jail cell that you can't get out of. To be egocentric is to be stuck in a jail for the consciousness, that it becomes pure depression as I grow older. Egocentricity becomes, by definition, depression, and that's why the older you get, the more depressed usually people get. And the reason is because they're running out of time to exit egocentricity. And their egocentricity is
This is sad. Running out of time is sad.
גאווה?
כן, אבל יש
אני
מילה,
לא חושבת שזה.
יש מילה. אגוצנטריק זה אגוצנטרי. זה, ככה הם אומרים את זה בעברית.
אגוצנטרי זה מישהו שמרוכז בעצמו.
כן, כן. עכשיו, our definition of egocentricity just goes much deeper than what you would open up a dictionary and just read the word. So today, from the perspective of all of reality, egocentricity is when a person is an extreme egocentric. But believe it or not, the extreme egocentric people are less egocentric than the non-extreme egocentric people. And the reason is because when you're extremely egocentric, it just means that you're stupid. It just means that you lack intelligence. The greater your intelligence is, the more you know how to lie to reality that you're egocentric. So you become much more egocentric the higher level of intelligence is. Meaning, if I take a guy who has a low level of intelligence, he would be to all of us egocentric outwardly. He wouldn't be able to hide his egocentricity. He has difficulty perceiving or reading reality and seeing how he looks. It's you can see it in a if you go into a secular world. If you're coming from a very religious world where egocentricity has to be hidden because it's known to be something very bad. So in a secular world, egocentricity, at least from the perspective of the religious person, it's normal. Now, an extreme egocentric it's just stupid. But everybody is egocentric, like outwardly. Right? He has low intelligence. Because he can't hide it. He doesn't know how to. He doesn't read reality. Like when you see a person, exactly.
It's not sophisticated.
The smarter you are, the more sophisticated you are, the more you know how to hide your egocentricity in order to not come off as egocentric. Because to everybody in the world, believe it or not, by default, egocentricity is not attractive.
So it's a double thing. Not enough that you're egocentric, you're trying to conceive it, to hide it.
Right, even to a Gentile world, extreme egocentricity is not attractive. That's why when you go up to a stage, and you're getting an award or something, no, it's not me, it's my friends. They try to blow off the egocentrism, but really inside they're really
like so.
Right, sucking it all in. But it's just the nicety. But if you have an extreme egocentric, as soon as he gets up on stage, he's like, yeah, me, I'm great, and thank you for.
That means that he has.
Right, it means that he's not reading reality properly because people don't find this attractive. It says even in the Gemara, it says by nature, a father who is egocentric, afilu bnei beito lo mekabelto. Even his own family is not attracted to him. So it's even by kids, they can read this as being something not proper. Even though they're like that on a much higher level, it's hard for them to see themselves. It's very easy for them to see others. It's very easy for us to perceive others' egocentricity. It's very difficult for us to perceive our own. That's how good.
We live in a society that appreciates hypocritism and fake. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's what we call reality.
It's sad.
Most of the people, that's how they live now. especially with social media.
Yeah, all this
When you go through
Yeah.
extreme intelligences, you can even find it in Jews who weren't religious, that they knew how to hide they weren't looking for the fame and the fortune as much. But that's why it says in Chassidut it explains that how can you tell the difference between a goy and a Jew? By his tzedakah.
By tzedakah,
Yeah, if a Jew, he's the only one who's capable of giving tzedakah without anybody knowing about it. Whereas a goy needs to have some kind of
the recognition.
He even needs to know at least who's getting it, or who's receiving it, or where it's coming from. A plaque, if you want, a name on a building. There has to be something. Whereas real tzedakah is anonymous completely. And even if it's not anonymous, it's not.
Because if you do tzedakah and you brag about it, it's not really
No.
l'shem tzedakah.
Really, the reason is whoever learned this year is that I am not the one doing the tzedakah. There's nothing for me to brag about. It's not mine, right? I'll give a simple, maybe a halachic ruling that maybe conceptualize this idea. So in halacha, there's very much difficulties with copywriting. Right? In Judaism, there's no such thing as copyright. Like if somebody creates something proprietary, he has no rights over it technically. So there's loopholes. But Judaism doesn't hold of any proprietary knowledge. So if a Jew comes out with a book, that book is not his. He's just an emtsai. It's Hashem's chokhmah that he passed through you.
Yeah, through you.
So I can't have copyright off of something that doesn't belong to me.
But it's not gezet, it's not if it's right.
So how do they do today? What do they do today?
You have to do some changes, no?
Right. So today there's loopholes. So for example, for example, most of the greats in history, any books they came up with, they just made it available. Anybody who wants, make copies, give it out, do whatever you want. Today, it's very difficult, especially in mass publications. Some people, they don't have that level of emunah, they don't have the money to make such publications. So they come up with a loophole. The loophole is that I'm basically not selling you this material. I'm renting it to you for 100 years. And by renting it, I still have the rights over it as a socher umaskir. I have rights as a socher, but I don't. In Israel, if I buy a land, that land, even if I buy it right now, this year in Shnat Yovel, I can only own it for maximum of 50 years. After 50 years, it goes back lebali. So everybody is just a renter in Israel, technically.
רק בשנת יובל.
בשנת יובל הכל חוזר לבעלים.
אבל רק בשנת יובל. Whoever buys during שנת יובל.
Right. No. Any year, it's going to go back to the owners. But if I bought it and the Yovel is only 10 years away, for example, so I can only rent it or sell it for a lower price because it's only worth 10 years. The longer I still have time with it, the more its value is. But it doesn't belong to me. It never belonged to me. Nothing belongs to us.
Yeah.
We're just mechabuim. And the real intelligence is Kadosh Baruch Hu. He's just ma'avir darkenu. He's just passing it through us. So we don't have actual rights over anything. This understanding brings us back to our topic, which to maybe summarize it as much as possible. But before that, we said we'll give a little introduction of the transition. So the introduction is that the first thing I need to do when I want to transition into a real Judaism perspective is I need to get my ego in check. I need to realize, I need to do a lot of cheshbon nefesh in my psyche, who I really am and what I'm really trying to achieve. I need to get to know who I really am, who's tricking me all day, to make me stop to remind me or make me aware of that I am egocentric. So all day what we do on a daily basis is try to forget. So what is the Yetzer Hara? Yetzer Hara is a master at giving you the greatest excuses of hiding you from you. And the way that he does it is he justifies any wrongdoing I ever do.
רוצים. Just that,
Not only he justifies, he comes up with the most greatest explanations of why you are right and they are wrong.
they are,
As long as they can maintain an image, a self-image, that I'm a tzaddik, then the Yetzer Hara is going to stay very, very strong. As long as I maintain that I'm a tzaddik to myself, I'm a good person,
The Yetzer Hara is going to be strong.
then the Yetzer Hara is completely strong. He's very, very powerful over you. He's almost put you to sleep. You're almost dead. You're walking dead. As long as you can maintain the image that I'm good, or we'll give an example to this maybe to make it a little bit more, to give it some context. Everything starts from doing something for somebody else, but doing it with egocentricity. So where does all the bad start? This is something we spoke about in the beginning of the year. Where does all the bad start to generate within my consciousness? It starts from the good that I do. It's not the bad that I do. The bad that I do actually brings me back to reality. The good that I do is what takes me out of reality. So anybody who doesn't understand this logic, let's try to
that's really...
figure it out.
Like when you do good, you're supposed to feel better.
But
That's exactly the point. So where does my
So
ga'ava...
you lie to yourself when you do good?
One second. We'll see where the lie lies, where the lie is
תשמעי
lying.
איזה קטע זה.
When I do good, where does my ego feed from? Does it feed from the good that I do or from the bad that I do?
From the good.
From the good. So my ego is inflating the more good that I do. Why? Because it takes that good as being me. I'm the one who's doing it, and therefore I'm a good person. If I'm a good person, then I have a right to inflate my sense of self.
My
I
ego.
did it. I did
My
it.
God.
No, that's not that.
חלילה.
I need to know who's doing the good.
Shem.
Where's the good action? Good by definition. The power to do good. This maybe sounds like a foreign concept, but it's not at all. It's very simplistic once you understand the logic behind it. Good, the commodity that's called good, this concept, good. If I open up a dictionary, what is good?
Yeah.
That in and of itself is a gift. It doesn't belong to me at all. If Hashem would take away himself from the world,
That's not going to be good.
there's all good would cease to exist. Everything would cease to exist, technically. Everything would cease to exist, but especially good.
So the good is God?
Because God is called good. Atov rotzeh la'ativ. What does he do? He puts a piece of his good into you and he says, go do good. But when you do good, remember who's the one who is doing the good. Why? Because you, the Jewish people, I chose you to represent me. But if you're taking all of the good and saying it's you, then you're just another one of the Gentiles. I don't need you, technically. Because that was the whole point. The whole point of putting the Jews in the world was that they be my representatives. All Goyim. The only way that they can be representatives is if they, at least the individual, knows where's the good coming from. Because what happens is, as soon as I come to this realization where the good is coming from, my actions, they take on a whole new level. And that level of good is not normal in a normal society. And therefore, when a person interacts with such levels of good, it has a representation of godly. This can't be human. This level of good is not human, and therefore I'm by definition representing HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The more I believe and know inside that the good is not me, the more I come off to the world as being divine, something much higher than the normal, what normal society considers to be good. And therefore it can't be a representation. It's a representation of something greater. It's a representation of the Torah. It's a representation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a special person that's walking around here. It's not a normal person that just walks around here. And therefore, there's something to this Torah and to this God. The only way that my consciousness could come to the awareness is like you can't trick reality. Reality, you're megalet da'at. You know what this means? It means your conscious is aware to any perceiver that is perceiving from this level. Meaning, to the everyday person, you seem like a normal person. But to a tzaddik, your egocentricity is so apparent. It's like transparent completely. Why? Because he's in that level where he's representing Kadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore anybody who's not representing Kadosh Baruch Hu is so clear to see that apparent. If you would be able to see yourself in the mirror, or if even society understood what is egocentricity, we would have to up our game in order to last still, to hide away our egocentricity. We're not hiding it. We're not hiding it at all. It's all apparent in our maasim, in our actions. It's apparent in our speech. It's apparent in our thinking. It's apparent to our spouses. It's apparent to our kids. It's apparent to anybody who wants to see. It's even apparent to you sometimes. That's what depression is. It's when you become apparent, when you become aware that something is wrong with the self-image that I came to believe is a tzaddik. What's depression? So now if we just define depression. Depression is the result of me starting to see through my lies. I'm unable to maintain the fact that I'm egocentric. My ga'ava is becoming apparent to myself even. I can't hide it anymore. A child can lie to himself very easily. Even a teenager can lie pretty easily to himself. A 20-year-old, easy to lie to himself. When you become 30, you get married, there's a mirror in the house all day. The wife is starting to complain, and the husband is complaining, and the wife is complaining. And then you're trying to run away from the truth that I'm not as great as I thought. So how do I do that? So every time she says something that I did wrong, what do?
Say something she didn't.
I either say something she did wrong, or I matzdiktats me. I start to come up with excuses why I'm good and you're the one who's bad. Right? It's a two-step process. If I prove, it's basically a game of game theory. It's like who could lie better, who could manipulate better. Usually the man is a better manipulator. And he comes and he brings the woman to believe that she's wrong or she's the bad one. It's easier for him to do because he's better at lying. It's not a good thing. Why? No. The women, they're very good liars, but men are better liars to themselves. It means that they're more trained.
They have a bigger ego.
They're more trained at hiding themselves to themselves than a woman is, because a woman is easier. She comes to depression easier. This is it says that the woman comes from Chamisha Midot HaGvura, which in Gvura is din. A woman by nature, she's more pessimistic. She sees negative easier. A man sees more positive easier. He comes to, and a person who can see positive easier is more trained at skewing reality, manipulating reality to make you see the good that maybe is not even apparent.
Hard for a man to become.
And a woman by nature, she's much more prone to pessimistic to a pessimistic interpretation of reality. Things are not good. Right? When a man comes home and he's having difficulty bringing parnasai, and the woman is starting to complain, we need the money for the school, she's bringing him down to reality, and he's like, no, everything's going to be okay. Next week I'm getting a job and everything is going to cover and it's going to be fine. No, it's not. You're telling me this already months. So she's the one who's trying to bring him down to reality, and he's the one who's trying to get her in a
shady, cloudy.
In maybe a better reality, if it was reality, but he's always more positive. He's always looking at what could be in the future. Even if he's in a worse state. He could be al saf bankruptcy. He still sees that I could get out of this. There's a way out of this. Where she's like, the walls are caving in, the house, the roof is falling down. He still believe everything. It's a good thing. And
it's a very good thing.
it's a very good thing. But he's using it for wrong reasons. He's using it in order to manipulate the wife and give him more time of being egocentric. You see, when the walls cave in and everything is falling apart,
I
and
actually get that he's doing it from emunah that it'll be better.
so let's dissect that for a second. Yeshuat Hashem clarifying.
Yeah,
It says that
Amen.
Hashem can fix everything
the blink of an eye.
in the blink of an eye. So why doesn't he? What is he waiting for? Is it talui bi? Is it something that is dependent on me, or is it something that he's just waiting for this good time to do it?
האמונה שלך,
What is it?
power of your belief.
Who are we waiting for?
For the shuvah of the person.
What does tshuva mean? Itcharet, but okay. So this is good because this is the topic of today. If we get to it, but we, whether we're female or male, both of us do this. When my consciousness is starting to become more aware that something is wrong with me. So by nature, it looks to push off the due date. What does that mean? It looks to now, like reality is starting to cave in, and I understand that I have to make a change. I have to do something. Something has to change, but I'm used to my reality. I'm trapped. I'm trapped in this reality. It's not easy to change. So the only thing that I can do is, can I have an extension? What does the extension mean? It means that try to make everything not cave in for just like a month longer, so I can maybe make more plans on this change. And then Hashem berachamav, he says, he loosens the reality a little bit. He gives you the panasah that you need. He gives you whatever it is to loosen, to give you some free room. He says, okay, let's see. And then 2 months, 3 months, a year passes by, nothing changed. And then he brings again the lachatz. And then more pressure comes. And then the roof caves in, and this happens between a relationship between me and Hashem. It happens between a relationship between husband and wife. So let's say things start to get very tense in the house between husband and wife. Fights all day. It's not like normal. Normal, it's like fights maybe twice a week. Now it's already fights every day, once, twice a day. It's starting to get more tense. I'm feeling the pressure. So the guy, he's like, leave me alone. He goes out, runs away. The wife stays home with the kids, going insane. She's very depressed. She doesn't know what to do. The guy's crazy. He's not doing anything, and they're stuck. So she starts to put on a little bit more pressure. Maybe she even me'ayem it. I'm gonna leave you. It's over. And then she's bluffing, she's not bluffing. What do we do? He goes and he thinks. So all of a sudden he comes back and he's a good guy. A week goes by, he's helping, he's doing everything he needs to do. 2 weeks go by, 3 weeks go by, 4 weeks go by. He sees that the air calmed, things went back to normal, and then he goes right back to where he was before. That's exactly, we're doing the same thing with Hashem. Every time he puts pressure, he's saying, I want you.
Exactly.
And what do? I become a better person for a little bit. And I release the tension. And then all of a sudden, I see the tension is released, I go right back.
Yes, the emunah goes back.
וישמע נשאון ויבעט, שמעת אבי את הכסית. It says, לא מצאתי טוב לישראל, אלא עניות. It says, Hashem didn't find anything better for Israel than poverty. Poverty always brings them back to me. Poverty always brings them back to me. Doesn't matter what's going on. When I make them poor, they come home. As Hashem מתגעגע, he makes the person poor. You understand? It's געגועים. It's Hashem misses.
Either poor or sick.
אבל זה לא טוב שאישה נשארת בגלל שיש לה ילדים, בגלל שהיא מפחדת.
טוב, זה לא עכשיו שיחה ל...
I know, because I feel like I'm gonna get sick, I'm gonna my emunah.
זה לא מה ש...
Oh my God, every day, daily, and then I get the test results.
Everything we just
healthy.
explained
Oh.
is the wife and the husband being manipulative one to another and being manipulative to Hashem.
So you're comparing the husband as Hashem?
Husband to Hashem is a relationship that acts in exact same way as the relationship between husband and wife. Same thing. Especially
Husband and wife, meaning the husband is Hashem.
the husband in this case towards Hashem, he's the wife. Towards his wife, he's the husband. But the relationship just flips and it becomes exactly the same. So what we're doing is we're buying time to maintain our state of mind that we're in. Why? The state of mind is garbage, but I'm used to it. I'm afraid.
It is illusion.
I'm afraid of what might be if I move to a better location. I know it'll be better if I do all these good things, if I become better, technically. On paper, it's great, but in reality, it's very difficult to leave the state that I'm in. I'm used to it, especially as I get older. Me, Akshav, who has the time? If I was a kid, they have all these dreams. They have the ability to change. 20 years old, the whole world's in front of them. They can change. But you get to 30, and then you get to 40, and then you get to 50, and like, what am I going to change now? Even though you might figure out that I lied to myself my whole life, it's either I continue lying to myself and just maintain this reality, or it's becoming too difficult to make the changes necessary. So how do I make the changes? So this brings us back to the transition. How I need to change my perception of reality. By changing my perception of reality, it becomes a lot easier to make the change. But before I just mentioned that, let's just say one more thing about what is emunah and bitachon, because we didn't mention that. So what we learned this year is rectifying the ego. Rectifying the ego is the first stage. That I need to become aware of how egocentric I am. And the way to do that is to learn how the Yetzer Hara functions within me. What's his laws? How he functions. And what we said is that my egocentricity is fed by my good that I do. The good that I do is what's feeding my ego. So what did we say? We said we need to change how I see good. Right now I perceive good as being mine, it's mine. I could be the good, I could be bad. But the good that I do, I did it. And I hold it over the person who I did it for. So if I do good for my friend, and next week they're not going to do good for me, I'll remind them that I did good for you, why you like that? I did it for you. This is me megale et my first intention, my motivation. My motivation was exactly that. That I would be able to hold it over you and get back in return. I did it for self-interest. I didn't do it because I'm good. I used the good that I have in order to get something in return. I'm manipulating again. We're manipulators.
ואם אני עושה את זה כדי לזכות במצווה כאילו מהקדוש ברוך הוא?
We have to לנתח.
זה גם אגואיסטי.
We have to surgically, right, dissect really why am I doing this? Because to reach a level where I'm doing this for self-interest, to reach a level of L'Shem Shamayim, there's a long transition stage between that. It's not overnight. I can't all of a sudden do something L'Shem Shamayim.
לא, זה לא לשם שמיים.
I can't.
זה לשם שאני אקבל את המצווה.
רגע, בסדר, אז זה לא לשם. She's saying that it's not L'Shem Shamayim, she's doing it because she wants to get the mitzvah. She wants to get the reward for the mitzvah. Okay, so that's egocentric. זה לא טוב.
אבל לא מהבן אדם.
לא טוב. זה אותו דבר. זה אותו דבר. המקור מאיפה שזה בא זה לא יותר טוב. Where it's coming from is not any different. I look to get good for me from any angle. From Hashem, from people, from manipulation, doesn't matter.
What's an example for L'Shem Shamayim?
Oh.
Levaya.
So this would be something you need to use your imagination in order to try to maybe envision or imagine what it might be. What it is reaching the state of mind where I know that the good in me is not mine. How would I feel if I knew this for a fact? Not something that I imagine or believe it to be. I just know it. Just like I know that this cup is sitting right here. I know that the good that I'm doing right now is not me. Once I know that, all the motivation or the manipulation is gone. You can't lie to yourself anymore. And therefore, the good that I'm doing right now is just a pure, as I'm just a messenger. I'm just relaying this good over to you. And I don't want nothing in return, even if you never did anything good for me in the future. I'll still do good for you tomorrow. It has nothing to do. Like if I right now loan somebody $1,000 and the next year I need a loan for $1,000 and they don't give it to me, a person who's doing L'Shem Shamayim would never ever bring up the fact that I loaned you last year $1,000. One has nothing to do with the other. That good that I did last year has nothing to do with this happening today. Nothing. Adaba, I would look inwards why Hashem doesn't allow him to loan me the $1,000. I would look at it as me being the problem. You understand what would happen when I reorient my perspective of reality?
אתה מכיר אנשים ברמה כזאת?
כן. הרבה צדיקים. כל
הרבה צדיקים, הצדיקים.
אבל זה מה שאמרנו, אמרנו תשובת, this is what the Torah is asking for. There's no exceptions to the rule. That's what people mistaken. They're like, oh, there's tzaddikim, and then there's everybody else. No. Hashem asked, ishbi'a oto, tiyeh tzaddik, ve'al tiyeh rasha.
He wants you to be like a tzaddik.
So he says, be a tzaddik. That's what came to the world. Why? Because all are goyim. Mamlechet Kohanim v'goy kadosh. He didn't rule out and say, oh, that's only Moshe Rabbeinu and that's only... No, Mamlechet Kohanim v'goy kadosh. It's all of Israel. Has the ability of reaching this level. So the Baal HaTanya says, why did he say...
There's nothing in between?
There is something in between. That's exactly what I was about to mention. And the Baal HaTanya says, why does it say, Mashbi'a oto tiyeh tzaddik ve'al tiyeh rasha? Al tiyeh rasha miyutar. If I say be a tzaddik, there's no reason to say don't be a rasha. So from here the Baal HaTanya, he extracts a benoni. But even the benoni is by our definition a tzaddik. It's just we don't understand what a tzaddik is. A person who destroyed all of his evil. He has nothing in it. He has no evil inside of him. A benoni still fights his evil, but he always overcomes it.
And a Benoni is a regular person?
A Benoni is, no. We can classify ourselves towards the Rasha v'Tov lo.
אז נולדנו יצר,
כן.
וכל העניין הוא להילחם כל החיים שלנו כאילו, זה להילחם ביצר.
לא. הבינוני כל החיים שלו נלחם ביצר. הצדיק כבר ניצח את היצר.
איך מגיעים למקום הזה?
אוקיי, אז רגע, זה לא יהיה בשיעור של היום, אבל...
אל תספחו אותו. בקצב הזה צריך כל שבוע שיעור לעשות.
I've heard of it, but what's a Benoni?
A Benoni is a person who doesn't do any bad, but it's difficult for... He has difficulties when like a bad thought will come into his mind, but he'll fight it right away.
Okay.
How do you fight the bad thought?
The bad thought doesn't even come into his mind anymore. It's done.
But we're not even
bother.
Today.
No, we allow bad thoughts to come in, and we pursue them. We pursue them. We do them. It comes into my mind. Let's talk Lashon Hara right now. Okay, so let's talk. We're talking all day Lashon Hara. So that's not me overcoming anything. I'm not overcoming anything. There's no itkafia. The Benoni overcomes everything. He still has difficulty, but he overcomes.
אז למה יש אנשים שנלחמים כל החיים, ויש אנשים שתוך 10 שנים מגיעים לצדיקות, יש אנשים שתוך שנה מגיעים לצדיקות?
זכות אבות.
זה לא בדיוק נכון.
לא, שנה אולי הגזמתי שנה.
לא. זה הרבה יותר מורכב. It's a generalization what you said. It's not. It takes even the greatest tzaddikim a long time to reach tzidkut.
Does a person go from Benoni to Tzaddik, or he just born it?
So there's tzaddikim that are born tzaddikim, but they're very mad.
And a
There is
Benoni
a tzaddik.
can be one that...
A Benoni
No,
could
Rise.
technically become a tzaddik, but most of us will become Benonim if we try. We're all mitzuvah. That's why it says Teh tzaddik ve'al teh rasha, meaning be a Benoni. At least if you can't be a tzaddik, then at least don't do ra. Don't be a rasha, and don't be a rasha means be a Benoni.
And how hard is it to get to Benoni?
And that's chova al kol adam.
Doubts come to you 24/7.
Right. So the
It's
doubts.
the most simple thing. So in this case, is get it in that moment and change your thought.
Those doubts are a result of allowing my egocentricity to inflate within my consciousness. They wouldn't allow the sfekot, safek gematria Amalek, would not allow itself to fester. Right?
What is the code?
Safek means doubt.
Ah.
Yeah, 204, exactly. That the safek, when it festers in the consciousness, is only because I allowed it to by inflating my ego. An inflated ego, so what I was going to say before is as I grow older, and I don't fight off my ego, so vadai it's inflating. And as it inflates more and more, it starts to take over my consciousness completely, and it puts me into a world, a lonely world where I'm alone, and only I see who I am. And all of reality doesn't see who I am. And this becomes psychopathy, sociopathy, why people suffer from such great psychological ailments in our generation is because the ego never had the ability to reach such depth. In most of history, even the worst egos, they never reached levels of today. Today, a child at 10 years old is already depressed. It just shows that the level of egocentricity is inflated to levels that are catastrophic. For a person to become a psychopath, it usually was left to the kings.
Usually what?
Like the kings. The kings were egocentric. The people will never reach levels of egocentricity because they knew their place. It was a monarch. Knowing your place, knowing you can't succeed. In America, they bring you up on the fact that you could be anything you want to be, and every child is a superstar, and he's locked in a bubble that his parents create, and he becomes so entitled, and he's scared of everything. Look at his levels of fear. Why? Because his egocentricity just became so much more apparent. The more your ego is pronounced, the greater my fear is. Because I'm afraid to lose that, my perception of self. So you see, ego is the greatest weakness of the human being. Who's the strongest person in the world? A person who lacks ego.
No.
There's no greater strength. That's a That's a real gibor. There's nothing he fears. He could be smack dead in the middle of a war, with knives coming at him, and he has total emunah and bitachon b'kadosh baruch Hu. And he can look at it in the face and almost do something that's beyond natural. That's why the greatest tzaddikim, you hear the stories. They're not stories. It's a gift given to tzaddikim. They have the right to bend the rules of nature. It says, tzaddik gozer v'kadosh baruch Hu mekayem. The tzaddik overcomes his nature, and therefore nature, by definition, drops its mask. What is nature? Hashem hu Elokim. So what is the purpose of nature? The purpose of nature is Hashem to hide himself in plain sight by repetition, by making things happen the same way over and over and over again. They make you lose focus of what's actually happening in front of you. So the fact that we're standing in the middle of nowhere, just hanging in the middle of the air, and everything is mathematically perfect, and the way rain falls and the sun comes up and the trees grow and you heal and all these things that they happen slowly and in a it's just nature. It doesn't seem awesome. So for example, if I right now just you saw a miracle, right? So now it breaks the laws of nature, and therefore your emunah just upticks immediately, and you become a lot stronger. But what if that miracle starts to happen over and over and over again?
It becomes a habit
It's not a
again.
miracle.
And then you ask, why? How could all of Am Yisrael in the Midbar sin? It just happened every day. It became nature.
As a miracle
There was
became
no
nature.
there was no
Nice.
difference. That's why there's no point to see miracles. That's why the last Geulah, it says that will be miraculous. The trick is to realize the Kadosh Baruch Hu within nature, because if you don't do that, then even miracles, they just become complacent. You lose focus. So that's why it says, Lo kepam rishon, Hashem is not going to ligol atanu like he gal utanu mimitzayim. When he's ligol atanu now, he's doing the reverse. Then he did a mass exodus. Everybody on one side, he just took them out. He showed them miracles upon miracles upon miracles and grabbed them out. It says because he didn't have time. He didn't have time. They didn't have Torah and they were about to fall into Chamishim Sharet Tumah. So I have to take them out. But in the last Galut, in this one, I'm going to go very slow. 2,000 years. Let them fester within nature to the point where they become so occupied with the nature. Today science is making you so believe in nature that you almost see God within it. That's the counterintuitivity. The depth of our understanding of nature just reveals the Kadosh Baruch Hu anyways, and that's a good thing. So we start to see that nature by definition is nothing short than a miracle. Everything in it. We just got used to it. We lost focus. That's why it says, it's like we were in a dream state. That when Mashiach reveals himself, it's like, oh, how did I fall for that?
Wow.
Like it's going to be so clear. Like everything just becomes apparent, like automatic. Everybody sees, everybody knows that. How didn't I see that? It becomes so clear. But through nature, like we'll reach this critical mass where science will prove God, and then it'll just be a scientific prediction. It's a scientific fact. When you make God a scientific fact, then there's nothing to. It's not hiding anymore. But to the tzaddikim, he never hid. Sod Hashem le're'av. It says that the secret of God is always apparent to his tzaddikim, to the people who fear him. And Shem Elokim, which is Gimatria Teva, right? Shem Elokim is just Din. Elokim Shem Din. It's the Din. Elokim, מה זה Elokim? Elokim Shofet. What does Shofet do?
Din, קובע
Din.
בדין.
What is nature? Nature is a set of laws. Yud Ke Vav Ke, Shem Hashem is the compassionate, the one who breaks the laws in order to save. So if you're in the middle of an ocean and then a miracle happens, and only you saw it, and nobody else believes you, only you're the one who saw it. So that's between you and Hashem. It's done. Nobody's going to believe you. It doesn't matter if nobody will believe you. They'll just say you were hallucinating. You were this. So Hashem reveals Himself. So He breaks. That's Hashem Yud Ke Vav Ke.
So when you see miracles, it's Yud Ke Vav Ke.
It's Yud Ke Vav Ke. He broke nature in order to save you, or to. He had no choice. You put him in a situation where it's not your time to go, and I have to save you. So I have to break a little from nature. Nobody's going to believe you anyways. It's okay.
Why would Hashem stop the person from getting it before he breaks nature?
And not only that, in a week from now, you won't even believe it.
Thank you, Mommy.
I really dreamt of battle.
Not only that, in a week from today, your recollection of that memory will start to fade. So it's okay. You won't even believe what happened to you. A week, 2 weeks.
I understand how to get, like before Yaacov said that we can manipulate Hashem.
We're manipulating ourselves.
Not Hashem.
No, but we think that we're manipulating. What do we do? Give me another chance. I promise. I'll never do it again. The next day that everything is fine, he made everything. You do it again. So what did you do?
Why does Hashem go back? If he's putting so much pressure, why does he send back?
Hashem, Merachem, Ba'al Rachamim.
Isn't the pressure Rachamim?
Huh?
Isn't
No, the pressure is when he puts the din.
Right.
The Rachamim is the release.
No, wouldn't it be Rachamim that if we wouldn't have the pressure, we wouldn't wake up? So
It depends on the perspective you're looking at. If you're looking at it from Papa Avodat Hashem, or if you're looking at it from Emunah and Bitachon, and that brings me back to the topic. So I'll explain in a second.
So you're supposed to do it from Emunah B'tachon because it's
No. Emunah and Bitachon is a whole different world. And this, I'll just say a little akdama. When I'm transitioning from this perspective of reality, where I believe that the good is me, and I start to aggrandize myself, so as a result, what happens? What happens over time? You start to do bad. Why? Because what happens when you do good and you're entitled to the good? You're actually doresh oto. What happens over time? For example, I do a lot of good. I'm a kid and I do a lot of good. I just do good. And then I become like 18, 17, 16, 20.
Now
And I start to see
good into business.
it's not good to be good. You don't get nothing in return. People are bad. So I start to lower the amount of good. I'm not the tamim like I used to be. I'm no friar. So I lower my level of good. And I introduce some bad. What is bad? Bad is idle good. I don't do so much good like I used to do good all day. And my ego starts to deflate. But what happens over time? The good that I do is in order for me to make my dream, my egocentric dream, become a reality. So my egocentric dream has inside of it money, success, a wife, kids, whatever it is. All these things. Friends who will help me do, etc. But I have a dream and I want to achieve it. Everything is me. And I start to pursue that dream. And in time, as time goes by, I start to realize that people don't appreciate the good that I do. As I get older, you start to see that people don't appreciate. I just did good for you and you didn't, barely a thank you. And tomorrow it's like as if I didn't do it. And nothing. I don't get nothing in return. Why is this happening? Because Hashem said, you stole from me, I'm going to steal from you.
Oh my God.
You stole my good and you used it as if it was your good, and now you're expecting them to give you.
A thank you in
So
return.
nobody will see the good that you do.
Wow.
You'll do good all day. So what happens over time? I start to fight Hashem. I know I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. I just do less good, and I think I'm winning. But what happens? I become lonely. I become lonely and I become depressed that I'm the only good thing in the world and everybody else is just bad. So the whole world becomes black and I'm the only white light left in it. How long can I sell this lie to myself? That I'm the last white light shining and the whole world is just black.
Wow.
How long can I sell that?
So in other words, when you do something and you say, אפילו לא אמרה תודה, זה כבר ביטלת את מה שעשית.
נכון?
Well, it depends. Some people could milk it for a long time.
Right. They can milk a lower level of intellect, or they didn't become aware of.
Yeah.
Let's say they didn't step into the class, so they can maybe lie a
אז
little bit
לעשות
longer.
לשם לעשות, לא לעשות בשביל לקבל
לפני שעושים לשם לעשות, צריך קודם כל, we need to change our perspective. We need to change our perspective on
אז
reality.
איך עושים את זה?
איך עושים את זה? So first of all, I have to come to understand the truth.
How do we do it? Yeah, so like, so okay.
So we said last time.
Secret.
One second.
Tell me the secret.
We said.
He never tells us this.
No, I told you the secret. 100 times I told you.
Okay, so let's hear it again. It's not.
I don't want to change. That's the problem.
The secret is there's no trick to it. It's not a trick. What we say, 1,000 times we said this. You have to learn, you have to train your mind to know this fact, that the good is not mine. and that the bad is all me. And this takes a lot of training. It takes years. It takes years of mastering Perek B'Avodat Hashem, mastering everything we learned this year, like a science. Over time, my consciousness starts to rewire itself to see reality differently completely. Which means tomorrow when I come to lie to myself, I'm unable to, because I know the truth. So what got me from here to there?
How did you get from here?
How did I get from here to there? I learned theory. I came to class and I learned. And by learning, what does learning do?
Get you to awareness.
It changes my perspective of reality.
Rabbi, you also told us that tonight we're all like this, but tomorrow we wake up and we go back to our...
So how do I do it? I have to learn it and master it.
So
Where you guys could give this class.
God willing.
Yeah.
But we're all moms, right? Or God willing, women. We like a chart. I like to have it on our wall.
Right.
And we have to follow things. It's
There's,
the
of
thing
course,
we
there's-
see every
there's-
day in front of us.
There's some like practice that there are tricks, but the main
No, not trick, just some like...
the main thing that you need to do is just, we don't have these classes often enough.
Yeah,
So-
and I need commitment
so the gap-
from the girls also.
The gap.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Not when
You
I'm
say
not
that I have to learn to know that the good is not me
Right.
and the bad what?
Is me.
Is you.
That part. What does that mean? If by definition the good is a Kadosh Baruch Hu, let me see. I'll just explain that. I'll give it context. When I said the bad is me, let's now see where is the bad coming from.
It's not me.
First of all, we need to understand that bad is only
When God is moved
it's
to it.
only what we call gavra. Bad only exists within an individual. It doesn't exist externally. It's not an external being. It's not something. It's only here. What does that mean? If all of us right now just lacked ego, there would not be evil in this room.
There's no evil in this room.
Right. The only evil is just our transference of my interpretation of you and your interpretation of me. The reason I interpret Ploni, anybody over here, is according to our relationship. What's our history? How many times did you do bad to me? How many times did I do good for you? How many times did you do good for me? And this relationship is like it's a relationship that's dependent on some factors. And my perception of you creates the evil within it, and your perception of me creates the evil within it. For example, now that I see you like this and you didn't do good for me, I'm going to fight with you. And that fight will lead to Lashon Hara, and they create evil only because of a misperception. We're both lying to one another. I'm not the good and you're not the good. I was the one doing the bad the whole time, and you were the one doing the bad from your perspective, and that's it. If we both knew that, we would never expect anything from the other person. Being a friend is not dependent on how many times you did good for me. It's just dependent on how many times you're there, not for the sake of doing good, not for the manipulative. If I'm manipulating you, you're manipulating me for sure. There's no question. That's why it says, Leva Adam el Adam kach
אז מה זה
כלב
באמת?
הפנים. כל הפוסל ומו פוסל. Hashem always connects two people that are egocentric, and that they mirror each other. The closest to that mirror is my husband, and the people that I see less in a day, or the people I see once a year even, they're just a part of my psyche. And of course, there's always a piece of real good that comes to the class, and then that's the part of me that's trying to escape out, Matir Asurim, is trying to escape from. So it comes to hear things that are beyond my day-to-day scope. Okay, so
a relationship that you are having with others,
right?
it's not by how you want them to see you.
No,
Instead of
it's a reflection of me, of what I'm seeing by looking into you. When I look into you, what do I see? If I look deep, I'll see a reflection of myself. But if I don't look deep, I'll just see you. that you're not good or you're good. However I want to see you today.
So let me.
If I look really, really deep, then I'll see me. And that's a good thing.
If somebody's doing something bad to her, so she see her own self,
Right. If she's seeing her own self, so she's already reaching the state of mind of starting to perceive beyond egocentric views. So I'm starting to now take the feedback of reality and take it inwards towards me.
No, but you've also said that the people that are in your life are mirrors to you. So if God forbid things are always bad happening, you have to start questioning what's going on.
That's exactly
why these things are happening. What am I? Oh,
Right.
okay.
So
it's not
we
like,
said you can't go crazy when you're just starting. You just need to understand that everybody is going to mirror a bad reflection. There's not going to be a perfect relationship. There's always going to be difficulties within the relationship because I'm still egocentric. That's not going away anytime soon. And as long as that doesn't go away, my relationships are always going to be rocky. When I start to see my relationship become almost transcendental, they become very, very mystical even, I could say. Like when two tzaddikim meet, it's a mystical moment. It's because two people on a very high level are seeing each other. There's a lot of depth here.
So Rabbi, all this time that I've been thinking that my husband is a very selfish man, I'm the one who's selfish.
You and him.
you what?
It's not that you were wrong. It's not that you were wrong. It's that you're both. That's another thing that we talked about a lot. Never in any given situation is anybody 100% right. Never. You know what each person is? Each person is 100% wrong.
But you know what's the problem? You can change yourself, you can't change.
That's what people. That's another trick that the Yetzer Hara does. Is the fact that he can make a world where his law says it's either I'm 90% right and you're 10% wrong, or I'm 50% right and you're 50% wrong, or he never even makes you aware that is it possible that we're both 100% wrong. And the reason why we're both 100% wrong is because each one is just a reflection of the self. In an egocentric world, the only person that actually exists is me, is the I. Everybody that I'm reflecting or interacting with is just Hashem's way of trying to wake you up because you're sleeping. This interaction is just trying to wake up that person. There's nobody connecting here. Instead, there's no actual connection between anybody.
There's no actual...
Nothing. There's only me. And all of my hallucinations that I'm actually interacting, it's just me with myself. It's like, imagine a bad movie that you just came out of, like one of those psyche movies that like a guy is talking to himself all day and he sees himself interacting with people, and then he wakes up and he's like, well, I'm alone. That's exactly what we are.
Wow. That's
So
really
there's
scary.
nothing-
And if I dig deep enough, I would be so horrified to find out how true this is.
Can you repeat it?
Keep digging, Rabbi, don't worry.
I have to ask a question.
Right.
So let's say there is a person that doesn't fight with nobody. Everything is okay. She lives very, very quietly, and everything is good. But it's always one person that always blame her and fight with her. Only one person. So you need to look at that and say, okay, whatever this person tell the other person, it's mean that you. One second, I'm sorry. בעברית. זה אומר שכאילו אם מישהי כל הזמן מאשימה מישהי, אז כאילו זה אשמת המישהי שהיא מאשימה?
This is going to be very difficult maybe to להקל. So that person is the only one willing to sacrifice the relationship with you at this point.
No, it's not me.
Not whoever you're talking about.
Doesn't matter.
It's me, it's me,
No,
it's me.
just kidding.
Everybody else still needs that person, so they're left to reveal their problems with that other person. It's not that she's a tzaddik.
She's not the tzaddik.
No. That person that's complaining is the only one willing to sacrifice the relationship in order to put her in her place. But again, You need to understand that the person who's complaining is not any better.
Either.
They're also lost in a bubble.
ואין מצב שהיא טועה או משהו?
לא. שניהם טועים. ודאי. ודאי.
זאת אומרת שתיהם...
Because they're both arguing on trivial, stupid things when in context, if I zoom you out into true reality, you guys are arguing over nothing. It's probably non-existent. Like think of a normal argument on a daily basis, and then imagine. Sometimes you could almost feel this when something catastrophic happens. The Twin Towers falls down, everything becomes more realistic. And then everything that I thought that was a problem goes away, right? So now imagine somebody passes away and he goes up and he sees reality. Any of the problems that existed within that, it just becomes so distant and non-existent and stupid. And almost when I look back at it, it just becomes like I see the dream that I was in. I was hallucinating. If I even felt what I'm feeling now or saw what I'm seeing now, we would have never argued. That's why when I'm happy, really happy, if anybody felt real happiness, any dysfunctional relationship goes away. At that moment, everybody becomes Sorchim, I'm very happy, I love you, Akol niyah tov. What I said before, a tzaddik, when two tzaddikim meet, the reason why it's so mystical is because two people are actually connecting. That's it's not a normal thing. Two people are 100% connecting. This guy is 100% here with this guy, and this guy is 100% here with this guy, and there's nothing that they want in return. There's no... And pa mischak. Whereas us as people, we get lost within our relationships that everything is dependent on something. And that dependence is just to fulfill this illusion that this dream that I have of what I will be. I'm going to be this, I'm going to be like when I was a child, I'm going to be whatever I'm going to be. I'm going to be the president, I'm going to be there, I'm going to do good, I'm going to be great, I'm going to be good. Even these people, right? They have the greatest of egos. The greatest. The ones that want to be good. Because they really think the good is them. They're just good people. And then you have a normal guy who, he goes to work and he's fighting to put money on the table. He's much less egocentric than this guy. But this guy who's good looks at him like he's nothing. But he's more than him. He's more than this guy. A lot more. B'nai Hashem, this guy is more. More good.
Because he has less ego.
Because he has much less ego. He's not... If you're good and you think you're good, then you are the greatest of evil.
So you said something about knowing your place.
Okay. So Perek Avodat Hashem this year teaches us to get out of the bubble and come down to reality. That's what the first year is about.
And only once you master it.
Once I'm able to get out of myself, right? Once I'm able to put down the nefesh behemit, to tame him, my animal soul, who's just looking for greatness, to shun away God from reality. You see, the Yetzer Hara, this is another trick of his. He doesn't like bad people. He loves good people. He wants the world to be very good. But what he wants is good people that think they're good. That's all. And by doing so, I become God, he says. But it doesn't have longevity. That's his problem. He doesn't pay attention. That good, that is egocentric, doesn't have a long half-life. It doesn't last long. Because as we explained before, the relationships break down. The good becomes fake. And I do less good. And over time, the relationship breaks down. So you could see in reality today, we're moving towards a human race that's much better. They're more good. They want freedom and peace all over the world. And Kol Echad B'Internet opens up a thing. I'll help you. I'll do this. But it's mass. We can call it a magifa of egocentricity. That what happens in the end of the magifa? What happens at the end of the plague of egocentricity? They all wake up from their
עוד
dreams.
איזה שואה עכשיו מחכה לנו?
השואה היא שואה רוחנית. השואה הרוחנית זה ההתעוררות מהאגו שלי. How could I be so stupid? How could I lie to myself on such levels? As soon as Hashem becomes apparent in reality, as soon as, even once Hashem becomes somewhat aware in my consciousness, all of a sudden, immediately, the good in me starts the taking the credit for the good starts to lower itself. What happens over time? The Yetzer Hara comes back. Don't think. This guy also, he comes back. How does he come back? He teaches you how to give Hashem the good, meanwhile taking it for yourself at the same time. So he has more tricks up his sleeve. It takes many years for him to overcome this egocentricity. But at least the world starts to dissipate. They start to lower their apparent egocentricity, and they start to fight on a much deeper level. So now their egocentricity is more refined. It's much smarter. The smarter you become, the more intellectual you become, the more you have a chance to overcome him. Because the Yetzer Hara is very smart. He's not stupid. The only thing that can beat him is intellect. That's why we said you need to learn. There's no tricks. There's no way I'll go to Tony Robbins and he'll give me a nice motivational speech and I'll wake up tomorrow and everything will be fine. It's It's not gonna last. It's nice, it makes everybody happy in the moment, and then they all fall back asleep in a matter of time. The only way to truly overcome the Yetzer Hara is to learn him well, to the point where you master him, you understand him. I know his tricks. You can't trick me. And Yehudim that were given this gift, the Torah is how to overcome his tricks. Matir Asurim, it says we say this bracha every morning. We said this before. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, Matir Asurim. So in the Zohar it says, what does it mean Matir Asurim? So Matir Asurim would think that I'm in jail and take me out of jail. So Chachamim ask, why do we say this every day? What if I'm not in jail? So this Matir Asurim, it goes exactly on everything we're learning now.
Right, it's a mental check.
That Hashem has to give me the gift to get me out of this jail of egocentricity. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu matir asurim, matir ta'asur. B'ma ani asur? Ani asur bi.
באגוצנטריק שלי.
I'm locked into myself. It's a locked in syndrome. There's no actual connection. Every connection I have is dependent. It's me. Like let's say somebody here, we'll give a perspective, we'll end here. Just like a lot of people hear the story of Booyah and how, I don't know if anybody is true. So how both of her sons passed away on Shabbat. And she waited till after Shabbat and לא לצייר את הבעל. So to the eye of...
לא לצייר את הבעל או לא לצייר את השבת?
לא לצייר את השבת ולא לצייר את הבעל.
שבעלה לא הצטער בשבת.
And she was able to maintain simcha through the Shabbat. So one would see this from maybe a secular perspective. Say this woman, she's called ice.
זה לא נורמלי.
לא נורמלי.
ממש.
Right? So
He's watching you.
this woman is more warm than any of us times 1,000. This woman is more warm than any of us times 1,000. The reason why she can be to the outsider cold is because she sees reality as it is.
שהילדים האלה לא שלה מלכתחילה.
לא של הילדים, לא שלה. היא יודעת שהשם לקח אותם והם במקום שהם צריכים להיות. הם פיקדון לי. לא קרה פה כלום. זאת אומרת, היא בטוחה שהכל בסדר. כל המקום הזה, this whole world is just a delusion that we're just in it and out of it in seconds. The fact that he went first, she went second. Now, why is it so difficult for a parent when it becomes so difficult for Chas V'Shalom to lose? It's a very difficult thing.
Ego.
It's because ego, not because they left, it's because I lost. It's more I lost than he left. It's still egocentric.
אבל אתה גם בוחר על חיים שלמים שלא יהיו.
לי. To enjoy, to have nachas from. More this than that. I'm not saying it's non-existent. To a child, it still exists. There is the level of l'shem shamayim within it, like we explained in the past. But it's still much more me. For her, it was not a big deal. Why? Because she says, no me.
Hashem took
There was an initial instant of tzal, and then there's the tzal that's mechuyav after Shabbat, and everything goes back to normal, everything is fine. Hashem, Natan, Hashem, Lakach, Bo, Hashem. I'll see you very soon. Everything will be fine. הכל, זה כאילו, הוא היה פה ועכשיו הוא שם, והיא יודעת שהוא שמה, והוא לא נעלם. הוא לא נגמר, זה לא נגמר. בסך הכל הוא בא לכמה דקות ויצא לכמה דקות, וזה היה כמה דקות in relation to reality. אם אני הייתי חושב, if I tried to put into perspective what I'm talking about, the nefesh the neshama of a human being, of Hashem, lasts for eternity. In relation to the split second that I'm here on earth, it's not even a split second. When I use mathematics as a ratio, it's not even the blink of an eye, the time that I'm here on earth. It's nothing in the perspective of my lifetime. Because this is netzach. What is eternity versus 70 years? Can you even try to fathom? So what is, she can see netzach versus the 70 years? Nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing. Nothing happened here. Whatever happened is for us. Why they went early is for us to contemplate why we have to have even this minor tzal, as much as it is tzal, it's tzal. Why he took them early, it's not natural. Hashem makes it that the parent goes first and the child after, and it's easier that way. So when this happens, it's a meldoshani. It's not a normal thing to happen. But if it does happen for a person on a very high emuna level, it's not so fa'ulam, like what it is for a person who's very egocentric. The more egocentric, even you'll sometimes see that it's easier for a Jewish person to get over than it is for a Goyish person. A Goyish person will go into depression, she'll get divorced, she'll die, she'll commit suicide, over, done. She can't, because her egocentricity is so powerful that losing that person is just the end of reality. Whereas a Jewish person, like we hear stories, the one who was killed, she had another kid, they stayed together, the family is strong, they had more kids, everything is fine. Emshichu ala. You have to have very strong emunah. You have to know reality at least to some perspective. And therefore, our perspectives skew reality. When we see reality as it is, everything changes. Everything flips upside down. Notice that every answer we gave tonight is not the expected answer. It's almost the opposite of the answer that you were expecting. Why is that? Because when you switch over to the other side, then everything is backwards. Good is bad, bad is good. My perspective of where good is coming from is a bad thing. And bad, where it's coming from, is actually a good thing. It deflates me. It brings me back to reality. Why did Hashem create this system where if I do too much good and I become egocentric, then he'll start to do averot? Why? Because I have to lower him down. What happens when I do bad? I start to think of myself as not so good. So then my ego goes down. So now doing the bad is actually better than doing the good, because it's bringing me back down to reality. Where if I would maintain doing good all day, I would go egocentrically crazy. I would become so inflated of the self, I would lose it. So Hashem created a mechanism, averot. Averot is a deflation process. It's a factory that creates regulation in the psyche. So instead of going straight up off of a cliff, he allows you to have ups and downs. So you can maintain this lie as long as you can maintain it, or you just erupt at one point. Either from depression, or either of super egocentricity. Whichever one comes first. Like a person can lie to himself in his egocentricity that he's happy. Or his egocentricity becomes so apparent to himself that he becomes depressed. So one or the other happens. Usually the depression is more likely than the happiness. If a person is very successful in business and this, he might go towards the the happiness route, the full of himself route, but he comes off of that cliff at one point anyways. Okay, so we'll leave with this, just one last thing, so we can decide with the class. This year is finding my place, getting out of myself. As soon as I get out of myself, now, okay, so where do I go now? I just got rid of the I that I used to think was me. So where now? So now I have to reorient myself, and I have to start, how do you say?
Reroute the GPS.
Reroute the GPS, correct? But I have to, no, I have to,
Reroute the GPS, thank you.
You have to reinvent yourself.
it's not reinvent the self, it's I have to now, how do you say? No, there's a word, oh.
Strip the
No.
barrier or expose yourself.
I have to, it's right there on the tip of my tongue.
Well, if you don't have to, what's the opposite? What is
Okay,
it?
so there's the nefesh habehemit and there's the nefesh elokit. The nefesh elokit is the one that sees everything right. The nefesh habehemit is the one that sees everything backwards. I'm the good and all the bad is them.
Yeah, they are
So
the
it's a reverse.
The nefesh elokit sees I'm the bad and all the good is Hashem.
So it's a reverse.
So now I have to now, I lost the word. I have to now affiliate myself, is the best word I can come up with this,
with the nefesh
with the nefesh elokit. I have to now move to this place.
side.
How do I do that? That's the second year. We learn Emunah and Bitachon is how to now see myself from the perspective of the nefesh elokit and not from the nefesh habehemit anymore. So my image of nefesh habehemit starts to fade away, and the image of the nefesh elokit starts to become much more pronounced. And as I become more pronounced, now I function within a reality that I create my reality. How do I create my reality? Emunah and Bitachon. Emunah and Bitachon are the two dynamics that create reality. Meaning, my belief is a vision. I see what I need to do, whether small or big. So if I'm now just transitioning from the nefesh habehemit to the nefesh elokit, my dreams are small. I see something in my community and I want to do something. So I start to create an image. That image is emunah. I start to believe that Hashem wants me to do this. Bitachon is bringing that dream into reality. And now, because I'm functioning from the nefesh elokit's perspective, Hashem will make it happen, for sure. No question. But as long as because I am functioning from the nefesh elokit, Hashem will make this happen for sure, no question. But as long as it's pure, without any egocentric motives. As long as my egocentricity is not motivating me, Hashem will tzaddik gozev Hashem, okay, what do you want to do? Hashem asks you. That's why it says, with Noach, it says, Et Elokim italech Noach. Noach was still a goy. Et Elokim italech Noach, it means that Noach was walking with, side by side, italech Noach. Et Elokim italech Noach. He was still side by side with Elokim, which means that Hashem was the guide, and he was just the follower. He didn't do anything from his own belief. But with Avraham Avinu, it says, "Italech lefanai ve'yeh tamim." Italech lefanai, it says to Avraham Avinu, Hashem says to him, "You walk in front of me, and whatever you want, I'll do it." And that's why Hashem asks him, "What do you want me to do? You want me to take down this city? Not take it down? I need to know. I won't do anything without your permission." Why? Because he was able to master this reality. By mastering this reality, Hashem says, "You're the creator within it. You just tell me what you want to do." In his dream, in his emunah, he believed that he had to bring people to believe in God. Yitzchak's emunah was different. Yaakov's emunah was different. Everybody, Moshe Rabbeinu's emunah was different. Each one created that reality. Why? By seeing what Hashem wanted from them and did it. But they were the ones who did it. So this is the counterintuitive. This is the backwards thing. When I'm secular, from the secular perspective, the good that I do, I think that I'm doing it. But I'm not doing it. It's not me. But when I'm doing it from the Nefesh Elokis perspective, I'm really doing it. What does that mean? Hashem gives me the right to decide what to do. He's doing it. He's the one doing it, but I get to choose what to do. That's freedom of choice. Which means, if we now try to infer what I just meant by saying that, when you're in the lower perspective, in the egocentric perspective, freedom of choice is just a delusion. It doesn't actually exist.
No.
Every decision you make is based off of a dependence. I need this. It's a cause and effect relationship. Everything is dictated. That's why it says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rabbi Yaacov Omer, Hakol tzafui ve'hareshut netuna. Everything is foreseen. What does it mean, tzafui? In Hebrew means tzafui. It doesn't mean that Hashem sees the future. It means that tzafui. I know what you're going to do next. It's not that I'm seeing what you're going to do before you did it. I just know what you're going to do next because you're dictated by your animal soul. When Avraham Avinu does something, Hashem doesn't know what he's going to do next. Because it's the same thing as if he's doing it. What does that mean? Does Hashem know what he's going to do next? And this will end right here. כן? למה? כל צדיק הוא בדק את דרגת אלוקים, כמו רבי שמעון בר יוחאי אמר, אלוקים אני. אבל לא בגאווה. My nefesh elokit is the only one that's existing, which means I am a representation of Elokim in the Gashmiut. How does Hashem get to work down here? איך השם מזיז את המציאות למטה כאן? דרך הצדיקים. אם לא היו צדיקים, השם לא יכול לפעול פה, הוא לא היה נוגע. הוא יכול אם הוא רצה, בכוח, אבל לא לפי החוק. Not according to the law that he dictated. The only way Hashem can change reality is if there's enough tzaddikim. The more tzaddikim there are, the more I can take over reality and make it great.
רק שאלה אחת.
כן.
לגבי העניין הזה של הפוסל במום הפוסל.
כן.
כשאני מזהה, when I recognize something on someone else, obviously I have it too.
Either you have it or you had it, or you recognize it.
On some level I have it.
Right, you recognize it.
What if I don't recognize it? Does it mean that the person doesn't have it?
Not necessarily. It might be hidden to you in your consciousness.
It might?
It might be hidden to you. Meaning, if it's happening in your reality, you're just not so keen to see what it is. You're not so sharp. It just means that this is a level of my subconscious. My subconscious can see this. I just can't see it yet because I don't want to believe that it's me.
Let's say I see someone's stubbornness.
Okay.
So probably I have it too.
100%.
Now, if we both stubborn and we both recognize it.
Each one sees the tzedek of themselves.
Exactly.
Right.
But if I don't see it on the other person, I don't have a problem.
And you see it on you?
I know I don't see it on, no.
Okay.
So there is no problem.
Not necessarily. You might both not see it. Right, it might be a subconscious. Everybody possesses stubbornness. So to say that I see all of my stubbornness, no way. Because if I was able to overcome even just stubbornness, my ego would be down to almost zero. Because all of these are, one is related to the other. All of these midot, they're all a result of egocentricity.
Yeah.
So I can't be without stubbornness and be non-egocentric. I can't be. Therefore, if I'm egocentric, vadai I have stubbornness. I just can't see the stubbornness. Or I don't want to see it, because I want to believe that I'm not stubborn. If I'm starting to see stubbornness in me, it just means that I'm lying to myself less.
Yeah.
I'm revealing it to myself more.
I don't want to be able to sleep today. No way.
So we don't go home all depressed. This is a year-long shiur. It's not, I need to come to many important generalizations.
זה אפילו לא פעם בשבוע. יש ביום שני, מתי מתחדש השיעור?
אז לא החלטנו.
בימי שני, נכון? בבית הכנסת.
יש ביום שני. לא שבוע הבא, שבוע אחרי זה אנחנו חוזרים
ובאותו
שבוע
נושא?
הבא אני אהיה בהולנד.
אז אני אצטרף שבוע.
שבוע אחרי זה.
וזה באותו נושא?
לא, אנחנו שם בדיוק מסכמים יחסינו, שלום בית. זה הכל פסיכולוגיה, אבל ברמה מתקדמת.
אז לא, אז...
אחרי שאני יודע את כל החומר הזה, אז השיעור ההוא נהיה הרבה יותר מובן.
כן.
אם הייתי מתחיל עם השיעור שם, אז פחות הייתי מבין, כי אני צריך את כל היסודות. I need all the
אלה
foundation.
שעובדים כמה שנים וקשה להם.
Right.
אבל אם חסר לנו את זה, אם חסר את זה, את מה שלמדנו השנה,
אם חסר את זה,
במקום שיעור.
אז יהיה קשה לתפוס. It will be difficult לתפוס other topics, but what I found from experience even, when I first learned this, the first time, I didn't understand it, obviously the way I understand it today. But I went on, and then when I learned the second year, I came back to learn the first year, and then things started to make more sense. So it starts to
We went like that, and now so much. Yes. Wow.
right clear.
So much more clear.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So time goes by, and I start to. It trickles down into the consciousness. I start to understand. I start to see it. I start to pay attention more. And then everything we're saying starts to become so, oh, how didn't I see that all the time? It becomes very simple. The fact that if anybody is here and they're ma'akel at it just means that your consciousness is saying, yes, this is right.
זה שלא היה
Because
התנגדות,
if
זה
we're
כבר
not
היה.
arguing,
זהו, לא הייתה התנגדות.
because usually in the first year, many people that come the first time, there's going to be arguments. Because people want to believe what they want to believe. They don't want to believe.
So last time was my first time. I argue nonstop.
Right. They don't want somebody to come in and just break their world apart into pieces so easily. So even if I try, let's say I come and I break down your world into pieces, you're gonna go home and you're gonna rebuild.
Then he comes and changes.
And you're gonna be able to rebuild, no problem.
הרב יעקב, יש פה דיסקשן שאתה לא שומע, שואלים איפה
I did. I still, in one part of my brain didn't make a lot of sense.
כרגע יש רק את יום שני ואת
But I
every 2 weeks.
do.
שהשנה אחרי החגים
אפשר
נראה אם
לעשות
נעשה
בבית,
משהו.
כאילו אולי שלי.
So we thought that
רגע.
we spoke the last time that we were here that maybe we could do like a course. First we thought maybe I don't know if it's something that people want me to even pay for, just or something that commit to it.
Right.
I would do like a crash course of I don't know how long the first year would take, but 10-15 shulim, let's say,
Yeah.
once a
I
week.
mean, if we do it,
Once a week.
we can do.
But
There's
let's say every Sunday.
There's an in-depth
Maybe
version and
every
there's the
other
more
week.
concentrated version.
את רואה? את מבינה?
Of this class? No, not every.
Right.
כי יש יום שני, ואז...
Of this?
לא, את מבינה אבל
This
מה
class
זה?
can take 26.
בגלל
לא,
זה
לא,
אני
לא
אומרת,
לנצח.
בגלל זה מההתחלה אמרתי, I'm sorry, I said few rabbis because I knew for people it's hard every week and every other week because I had an experience. I'm already doing it for 4 years. I started with Yael Kaplan 4 years ago, exactly now in August. 4 years. Yeah. We used to do it every other week and people was even every other week. It was hard for them, so we did every like 3 weeks sometimes.
But this is, I think, I'm going to give you my opinion, I think that this is different. I think that this is a course. This is not what's going to be a This is like, if you start the first lesson
It's
and
a
you
shiur
miss
Torah
that
the way it
one,
was supposed to be, not the
What?
course.
שיעור תורה, כן, of course.
אבל
no,
yeah,
the whole
it's
shiur Torah I'm saying, but it's not something that you're going for entertainment one night and that's it. It's connected to the next one. If you
right.
Yeah, but
forget
we
the
have to
first
sit on
one, then it's like,
schedule and put the dates and everything.
no,
from
so
the
that's why I thought that if
beginning,
it's something, it's like,
understand?
let's say someone goes to college, they're not going once a month to a class. They're never going to remember anything.
No, so the way that it's set up
They
now
can't apply in your life.
is usually they do once a week, but the way that it's set up in Israel, for example, the course that they give, it's set up in a way that there is about 3 courses in one day, once a week. And those 3 courses, they go on until 2 semesters or 1 semester, 13 classes or 26. And that's a full course. And then the second year is another 3 courses on a higher level, and the third year another 3 courses or 4 courses on a much higher level. And then there's the 4th year and the 5th year, but it's for much more advanced students that want to.
We want a beginner's class.
Right. So the beginner's class is this class. So think about it between you all. Come up with a solution.
Before we think,
And let me know.
Yaakov will be able to
וזה
do it once a
רעיון,
week.
אחרי החגים אפשר לעשות זה.
Huh?
מה, 3 שעות?
I